On today's show, the Hawks hit the road to put together an impressive two-way victory over the Miami Heat, plus the latest on Kristaps Porzingis and an interesting saga there. Everything else in between, and it's all coming up right now.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 2158 of the Locked On Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. I'm your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Tuesday evening into Wednesday here in early February. Today's podcast is brought to you by the folks at FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the last call for football this year on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5. You get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Check it out now at FanDuel. And today, we're diving into what became a very nice win for the Hawks on the road in Miami, 127-115. Honestly, the Hawks stopped a mini skid and really picked up a really excellent road win. I guess they were battling against directly a division rival in the Southeast, a playoff potential rival in the play-in, playoff race, all that stuff. And again, just an impressive road win that was resilient for this Hawks team. And yes, this game comes with the deadline for trades in the NBA coming less than 48 hours from now. In the last couple of days, the trade market has ramped up considerably. We did a show on Sunday afternoon in kind of emergency fashion with the Hawks trading Vee Krejci. But since then, for example, Jalen Johnson Jr. got traded today to Utah, and honestly, an absolute blockbuster trade. Then James Harden got traded for Darius Garland. That was interesting. Before that, old pal DeAndre Hunter got traded to Sacramento. There was a three-team deal involving Kevin Huerter and Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley. The Celtics traded for Vucevic. The Giannis stuff is still running right now. No deals yet, but everything in between, it's a massive buzzworthy week in the NBA. With the Hawks, nothing active right now in the rumor mill. I keep saying this, but the Hawks have been responsible for like half the trades in the NBA this season, so it's not like they've been quiet. But in the absence of a massive rumor, we'll kind of save the trade stuff for tomorrow and focus mostly on this game and a full breakdown of it. But I am aware of what's going on in the market, and I will get into later on the fact that the Hawks were down both their centers in this game. The Porzingis saga deserves some more depth, so that's coming up later on in the podcast. But also, Conley missed his third straight game after he got smashed in the face by Jaylen Brown last week, so keep that in mind. The Hawks are shorthanded here. I will also say Miami was even more shorthanded. They were without three of their top 4 or 5 players, Tyler Hero, Norm Powell, and Andrew Wiggins, which led this game actually at FanDuel to be like a coin flip. The Hawks were like 1-point underdogs at tip-off after Porzingis was ruled out. But still, nothing easy about this one. It was similar, actually, in as far as the point spread was concerned, between today and Saturday. And while it was a frustrating performance from the Hawks in their last outing and they lost to Indiana, I tried to stress that night, like they weren't a huge favorite in that game. And tonight, it was similar. Like, yes, they were playing an undermanned opponent, but it's still a road game against a competent team that's well-coached, etc. And the beginning of the game wasn't great, but they ride the ship pretty quickly. They never trailed after the first quarter of this game. They were by as many as 23 points. It was 21 with like 3 minutes to go before garbage time kind of narrowed the margin. But if you watch this one, the 12-point margin was probably not even indicative. The Hawks were the clearly better team in this game, which is what you want to see when the Hawks are able to take advantage of a shortened opponent in this spot. So for me, I like to give you the big picture on both sides of the court. And in this game, it was really encouraging two-way, kind of a complete win for Atlanta. On offense, they had about a 120 offensive rating for this game, which is very, very good. The Heat are like a top 7 or 8 defense in the entire league. Bam Adebayo anchors that group. The Hawks had one of their best ball security games of the entire season. Only 9 turnovers in well over 100 possessions. These two teams are number 1 and number 2 in pace, so no surprise, it was kind of a fast-paced game. But the Hawks took care of the ball in a big way. They had like an 8% turnover rate in this one, which is excellent against a ball hawking team like Miami. That provided a very nice baseline for the offense. And from there, they also soundly outshot the Heat in this game, particularly from long range. So the Hawks were 21 of 50 from 3 in this game. That's 42% on big volume. That is always helpful, I have to say. It was their second most three-point attempts this season for the Hawks. The only game with more, if you remember, was this game on the road in OKC, where the Hawks were clearly like massive underdogs and they operated like they actually knew that. They did like Davis strategies where they were basically just trying to increase the variance, and it almost worked. The Hawks made a lot of shots in that game. But other than that kind of outlier game, this is their second most attempts of the season, and I liked it. The offensive process was really good. A lot of 3-point attempts for sure in this game, but a lot of good shots, and they made a bunch of them too, which definitely helps. It was their 4th most made threes this season, only the 7th time in 52 games now that they've made 20 or more. So when you do that, it's probably a good thing, generally speaking. But they were also inside the arc, pretty solid as well. 50 points in the paint. They shot at least league average or better on 2-point shots in this game, and they shared the ball very well. 34 assists, very Hawksy. The last 2 games were kind of not so much Hawksy, and the 2 losses to Houston and Indiana, where they had pretty low assist totals, and the ball wasn't pinging around quite as much. A nice bounce back here to where the Hawks have been all year long, number 1 in the league in assists. They had 23 assists alone from Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, and Nikhil Alexander-Walker, the 3 ball handlers on the team. That's obviously at least 3 of the 4 with McCollum. But yeah, encouraging stuff. The ball was pinging around the entire night and helps to make shots, but the process was good as well. And this is the season high for the Hawks in bench scoring. So the headliner of the day is obviously Jalen Johnson with a triple-double in this one. He was awesome. But beyond that, the bench was tremendous for the Hawks. 68 points off the bench for Atlanta. And McCollum was great with 26 points in 26 minutes. But it wasn't just him. Kispert had a good game. Asa Newell had some nice bright spots. Kennard was great off the bench in this one. So lots of balance across the board and an impressive offensive performance on the whole. On defense, the kind of end of game scoring from Miami with some, I think it was like 16 points in the last 4 minutes or something like that in garbage time kind of hurt the overall efficiency numbers if you didn't watch the game. But until then, and really including that because it was not really meaningful at the end, it was a very solid defensive effort from the Hawks. It did help that Miami was shorthanded. Again, 3 of their top 4 scorers out in this game, and they also didn't shoot well from 3. They were 8 of 32 from 3. I can't deny that those are helpful, but the Hawks did play well defensively. Like, having watched this game back, it was not fluky. The Hawks were able to get stops along the way. The Hawks won the 2-point battle in this game. Miami took more 2s, but the Hawks made a higher percentage of those 2s. They fouled more than they probably wanted to in this game, but Miami made them the Hawks made Miami uncomfortable, I thought, along the way. Only about 25 assists. That's a good number on the whole. They swarmed Bam Adebayo in this one to 4 of 16 from the field for a all-star caliber big. Love that. They didn't create a ton of turnovers in this game, but they also capitalized on the ones they actually did get. The Hawks had 7 steals, and they had 18 points off turnovers, which is a lot more than Miami did in this game. And after a rough start, the Hawks were able to get back in transition for the most part. I know the Heat had a lot of fast break points, but on a per possession basis, the numbers were really good. And I thought the Hawks were very well prepared to execute and kind of deal with Miami's unique system. What I mean by that is Miami runs a very different offense than most of the league. They run the fewest pick and rolls in the league by a massive margin, for example. They just play a lot differently. And I would say same thing on offense, where the Heat were playing some zone that kind of flummoxed the Hawks for a little bit in this game. Once they figured it out, it was basically game over. And the Hawks, I thought, were well coached in this game. I thought they were prepared for this one. It helps to have 2 days off for the game, which the Hawks not had a lot of those situations this year. The reason I've been pointing to the schedule being a little bit lighter down the stretch is they can actually prepare for some games. That's very helpful. And the Hawks executed well. They coached well. They played well, and they won decisively as a result. So not everything is fixed. Obviously, there's still some flux. A lot of people want moves and transactions, and I totally get it. The Hawks have been active, but it's not been necessarily present focused in recent days. But this is still a team that I've said a lot recently, but I'll say it again now, is capable of winning at a pretty high level the rest of the season. And if tonight was an indicator, that'd be a positive indicator. Obviously, it won't always be this good, but they played really well in this one, and that is providing some encouragement as the deadline arrives in about, 40 hours as I'm recording this podcast on Tuesday evening. All right, in a second, I'll dive into Porzingis, and there's a lot to get to there, plus the game, how it unfolded, my takeaways, player evaluations, and more. And it's coming up in just one moment. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. Final chance to get on the action before the NFL season actually comes to a close. It's Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel's making sure that you're right in the middle of the action with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorites, running with the underdog, or building one last game parlay, this is the game that everyone has been waiting for. It's where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap has a little bit more meaning than the previous one. Plus, FanDuel sells everything you're looking for, from pregame lines to live lines like point spreads and over-unders and money lines and futures. It's all there for you at FanDuel. Plus, they have all kinds of offers in different sports across the board. That includes basketball, which we talk about all the time on this podcast. Plus, they have hockey and golf and tennis, baseball, MMA, boxing, soccer, et cetera, et cetera. It's all there for you at FanDuel, and they have the perfect way to cut up the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting for kickoff until the final whistle. If you are a new customer at FanDuel, bet just $5, you get $200 in bonus bets if you win that first bet. That's $5 if it's a first bet, and get $200 in bonus bets if you win at FanDuel if you are a new customer with FanDuel. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the football season is over. It's the last call for football on FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, thank you for joining us as always on today's podcast, making Locked On Hawks your first listen each and every day. If you ever want to go ad-free, get some more perks, you can join the Everydayer Club right now. And if you sign up before the deadline on February 5th, that's Thursday, you can use the code DEADLINE, your first month for free. Tap the link in the show notes if you want to learn more. I'll dive back into the game in a second, but there was a bit of a saga around Kristaps Porzingis on Tuesday that is worth covering in some depth. So I will take you through the whole thing here. So as you would know as a Hawks fan, most likely, he's been out for a while. But on Monday, Porzingis was due for a 1-week reevaluation from the Hawks for the Achilles issue that he's had for a while. The Hawks did not do an announcement or a formal update, but then on the injury report for the game on Tuesday, he was upgraded to questionable, which indicates a positive step, obviously. Maybe he was getting close to coming back from the Achilles issue. Then at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, the Hawks said Porzingis was going to be upgraded to available to play, which means he was on track to return after a 12-game absence. And given his very, very clear impact on the permanent basis this year for the Hawks, that was potentially an awesome thing for the Hawks, because especially without Okongwu in this game, who's still out after he got cracked in the face by Jaylen Brown, all that, it was a positive few hours for the Hawks. Then at about 5:55 or so p.m. Eastern time, the Hawks announced out of nowhere that Porzingis was not going to play. In fact, he was going to be out, citing illness and not the Achilles issue. So a lot of frustration came from Hawks fans when I was the first to put that news out into the world. Obviously, he's been out for a lot of games this year with illness. I know lately it has been the Achilles. That's what I've been told repeatedly. It's not the illness. It's been the Achilles. They've been working on that. I've seen him being worked on, so it's not like it's a mythical injury. But obviously, there's the overall uncertainty with his POTS diagnosis. The Hawks will not give more information on that. They said they basically can't, but it should never, or would never, honestly, to me, be shocking to see KP miss a game with illness. That's kind of like, that's table stakes right now, honestly. But the timing prompted questions, including trade speculation. So the deadline being Thursday, it's totally understandable for people to kind of wonder if this is trade related, given that it was so late and all that. And look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Porzingis is available in trade talks. He's not like going to be traded for sure, but he's available. He's an expiring contract, all that stuff. So it's understandable. For most players as well, a scratch like this under odd circumstances can be a precursor. Can be, not always is, but can be a precursor to a trade. We saw that with Corey Kispert, honestly, when he got traded to the Hawks for Trae Young. That was like a very similar situation. On the other hand, Porzingis is not like any other player in the league. Like, really, he's pretty much as uncertain as any player can be right now. And there's comparisons to guys like Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard who've had KP's illness is unique to other players in the league. He's the only player in the league right now that has like something like this. So it adds a lot of uncertainty that I am just being open about right now. And listen, could it be a trade? Yeah, sure, it could be a trade. I'm not telling you that's not a trade for sure. I've made some calls since the downgrade happened several hours ago. It doesn't seem like it's anything imminent on the trade front from what I can glean. Again, I could be being lied to. It's that time of year where everybody gets lied to. I understand that. But right now, nothing I'm being told is that it's imminent. So I tend to actually think it's illness. Think. For a lot of other players, it really would smell like trade-related stuff. Like the moment that I knew Trae Young was going to be traded, honestly, was when they scratched Corey Kispert. Like, not 100%, but 99% sure. That's not what's happening here. So we'll see, but I'm not ruling anything out on the trade front, but nobody I have talked to so far is pointing to imminent trade. So look, I understand the frustration. I promise I do. I cover the team. It's a little bit different. I'm less emotional about it. It's been maddening. He's missed 2/3 of the season so far, and it's been one thing after the other. And today was kind of a perfect storm of get everybody excited that he might come back, and then, by the way, he's out for illness. Like, I get why that's frustrating to fans. It's frustrating to cover. It'd be easier to have answers, and there's not a lot of answers with KP. So maybe he plays on Thursday. Wouldn't shock me. But also I don't know what's going on. So hand to God, I like to know what I know and what I don't know, and I will always tell you the truth, whether I know things or not. And right now, I don't know, but I have made calls, and people are not telling me it's trade related. So keep that in mind right now. That's the latest on Porzingis. Okay, back to the game itself. I mentioned before, the Hawks had kind of a slow start in this game. They were actually down 7-2 after like 90 seconds. Quinn called a very, very early timeout with some clear frustration about the Hawks not getting back on defense twice in a row. Jalen was responsible, I think, for at least one, if not both of those problems defensively. But that timeout worked. It's not like timeouts are not gospel. They don't always stop the bleeding, but they did work in this game. The Hawks actually had a couple threes after that. They had a 16-4 run after a nice response there. Jalen got to the rim, which I think also had a pretty filthy dunk early in this game, which was part of that run for the Hawks. But from there, they basically never trailed again. Rotationally, not a huge surprise here, but they actually played 10 guys in the competitive portion. Asa Newell, who did not play at all on Saturday, did play tonight. Had some nice moments, I thought, as the fourth guy off the bench. Kennard played as the kind of the fifth guy, but he actually ended up playing more than Asa in the end. But they had 10 guys play like real roles in this one. And that may not be every single night, but that's at least possible that the Hawks might do that at times in the future. They were up by 10 at the end of the quarter. They shot it better early on, but they got to the rim quite a bit in that first quarter. And then after that first stumble, they're better defensively. Kennard and McCollum were bombing away in the second quarter. Kennard came in, made a three on his first possession. McCollum made 11 points on his first 5 shots, which is he was great in this game. The two of them made their first 5 threes combined. The Heat were actually, as a team, 2 of 11 in that same sample size. So for the game, Miami made 8 threes. Kennard and McCollum made 5 threes in like 6 minutes in the first half. So that kind of tells you. Asa, his first stint was really, really good. Ended up playing more than he probably was going to because he played so well in that first stint. Cooled off later on, but still, Hawks had a nice run to go by 21. They did give some of that back mid-quarter and second quarter, but I thought a sneaky, nice response that was big in the game was that the Hawks had given up that run. And then after that, Jalen hit a 3, Kennard hit a 3, and they got up a lot of threes in the first half in general and went into halftime up by 17 points and played just great, honestly, in that first half. They weren't quite as good after halftime. Part of that could have been that there was an incredibly long halftime break. If you weren't watching this game live, the Heat chose to honor their 2006 title team, which is fine. Everyone does that. It's 20 years. I get all that. But they did it at halftime, and it went like 33, 34 minutes. If you're not aware, halftime in the NBA is like 15 minutes. It's not that long. It was more than double the normal halftime. Like, that just shouldn't happen. It's crazy. It's brutal for both teams, to be 100% honest. I'm not saying it's only the Hawks' problem. It's like crazy that both teams have to sit there for that long. It's like Super Bowl length halftime. That should be done before the game or after the game, not during the game. But I would say, given the Hawks were up by 17 points, it was tough for them because, like, the last thing you want up 17 on the road at the half is like increased variance, which means like no routine and like all this weirdness. And then right out of the gate, Jalen kind of made fun of it on the walk-off interview about how they did this long halftime. The Hawks did not play very well to begin the third quarter. Miami, I think, smartly used his own defense that kind of flummoxed the Hawks for a little while in the third quarter. Everyone else was shooting 5. Then Nikhil and Jalen couldn't make a shot for a while. They were 2 of 14 combined from 3 in the first 2.5 quarters. The Hawks missed 6 of the first 7 shots in the third quarter. And then Miami kind of shot the ball well for the first time all game. It was a 19-7 run, and it was a 5-point game mid-third quarter. Notably, they actually used Asa as the first center sub after Koloko got a third foul. Asa's second stint in the second half was not particularly strong. I will say this, my good friend Glenn Willis pointed this out to me offline. It's possible that they were worried about Mo Gay against Miami's zone defense on offense, which makes sense. It was a little bit of a wobble from Asa, and Mo went back into the game, and Mo played pretty well, actually, in the second half. But it was pretty much only Mo and Asa. Like, there was very little Koloko down the stretch of this game. McCollum was great late in the third quarter. A couple of jump shots that were big in the middle of the quarter when the Hawks were kind of struggling offensively. And then he had 2 late threes in the third to go up by 17. And the Hawks ended the quarter on a 10-2 run. And from there, they were pretty much in control. They had some empty trips in the fourth quarter that led to the lead going down to as little as 11. And then Quinn called timeout. But then Jalen and Nikhil, I think, coming out of that timeout, scored 5 straight points in the way that you would definitely want your top 2 scorers to do when you're kind of struggling offensively. And then they had a great possession where the ball moved really well on the perimeter. Kispert swung it to Mo Gay for an open 3. That kept an 8-0 run to go up by 19 with 7 minutes to go. And it was pretty much over at that point. The Hawks, it wasn't totally over because this NBA leads go away in a hurry, but it was 23 moments after that. And I mentioned before, but defensively, they kind of gave up a little bit at the end, allowed 16 points in the first, like the last 3.5 minutes or so. But the lead was very safe. It was never really in doubt from like, I don't know. The game felt over to me from probably the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter on. So a nice place to be when you're on the road, not having to worry too much about sweating the game out. The Hawks are up by 21 with like 4 minutes to go, 3.5 minutes to go. It was pretty safe. So nice to see overall. Again, like obviously it would have been nice to have KP and have him be able to play, but honestly, we're just there. I'm pretty confident the Hawks at shoot around believed he was going to play. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to like reorient your rotation and your plan around a guy who's like not difficult to use, but like he's unique. So even on the fly, again, kudos to the coaching staff. People don't like to give the staff credit, and I get that, given the results sometimes. But I thought it was a very well coached game, and I think that's a small part of this too, where it's like, hey, by the way, KP's out, and now we have to change our plan, and it still didn't matter. The Hawks played very well and executed at the highest level. All right. In a second, I'll dive into the player evaluations in this game. A couple of really strong performances headlined by Jalen Johnson. We'll get into all of that and more in just one moment. New year, new systems. This is the time of year when a lot of us actually look at the messy parts of how we run our businesses and think there just has to be a better way to do this. And now there actually is. If you want to streamline your communications, it's one of the quickest upgrades you actually make it to your business. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by the folks at Quo. It's spelled QUO, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love that Quo makes everything simple for me. Your whole team can actually call and text from one shared business number so that actually nothing gets missed along the way. Everyone sees the full thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It works right from your phone as well, or from your computer if you prefer to. And you can even keep your existing number if you want to as well. Plus, Quo has smart AI tools that automatically log and summarize calls, highlight next steps, and more. So details actually never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, solar operators to growing teams. Make this the year when no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free and get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moments, it's all just everything is off the charts inside an NBA basketball arena. Getting tickets, though, that part's not always been so simple. That's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without any of the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, and that is with the fans. You can pull up the Gametime app, pick an upcoming NBA game, and have the tickets locked in within minutes. At Gametime, they have all-in prices up front, which I personally absolutely love to see. No surprise fees at the checkout process. Also being able to see the views from the seats before you actually buy the tickets, before it really just makes the decision so much easier for you. And at Gametime, they have like great last-minute tickets options as well. And my tickets are actually showing up at solid prices just before tip-off actually arrives. Everything feels quick. It feels intuitive and stress-free from start to finish at Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with the folks at the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That code is LOCKEDON. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Gametime app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. One more time, the Gametime app, code is LOCKEDON, $20 off your first purchase. All right, we'll dive in now to how this game unfolded from a player perspective for the Hawks, and a lot of positives, as you might expect, for a nice road win. Keaton Wallace played only garbage time, so it was 10 guys that played. He was the only one that was active that came back late in this one. By the way, on Okongwu, he's day-to-day. I'm not sure when he'll be back. People keep asking me that. I don't know the answer. Following the dental surgery that he had, could play as soon as Thursday, so TBD on that. And if the Hawks provide anything more, I will definitely pass it along. Luke Kennard was great off the bench in this game. 12 points in 23 minutes, hit 4 threes, 5 rebounds, had an assist as well, was plus 22 at game best. Luke's been really good for a while. I know that some Hawks fans sour on Luke early in the season. I got why. He was too passive. I think he knew that. He's been really good now for a while. Not every single game, but certainly is doing very well off the bench, giving them a lot of juice offensively and letting it fly as a shooter, which is what you want to see from Kennard. Asa Newell, it was up and down, but I thought it was generally positive. I think the first half was like his best stint in a while on both ends of the floor. He played well defensively. He was actually playing well in the G League. We're coming back. Played probably more center than I would have liked him to play in this game, honestly, just because of defense. But he competed well there. Offensively, made some quick decisions. 8 points on 4 shots, had 2 rebounds as well, and a steal. I thought Asa looked good. I still am encouraged by Asa Newell. Like, there's a lot to like about his game. TBD on his defense in the future, TBD on a lot of stuff, but he's a 20-year-old rookie. He's playing more than he probably was expected to play coming into the season, given how much Porzingis has been out and all that stuff. But I think he was a general positive in this game. Kispert was aggressive, took 13 shots, but had 13 points, was plus 18, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought he looked pretty good. Didn't like his shots not been going in a ton since he actually got to the Hawks, which is curious. I'm not like worried about it necessarily, but he came in to the Hawks when he was like, I think he was like a career 38% 3-point shooter when he arrived. And I think it's like 34, 33 since he got to the Hawks. It's been better. He's been better lately. He actually had 3 games in a row where he shot at like 50% or something like that. But it's been up and down. He's playing fine though. The ball's going to go in. I have no worries about his shooting. Generally speaking, it's the way he played more encouraging to me. Mo Gay, first half was kind of an afterthought. Played 4 minutes in the first half, and then played 18 in the second half. Was really good defensively. 6 points at a big 3 in the fourth quarter. 6 rebounds as well. 2 assists, 3 steals, and a block. There was a stretch in the fourth quarter he had back-to-back steals, like which is creating havoc defensively. Offensively, it's always an adventure for Mo, but like I thought he fit in well, and after a little bit of a wake-up call, perhaps in the first half, was much better after halftime. McCollum had his best scoring game with the Hawks in the last month or so since he actually arrived. 26 points on 18 shots, hit 6 threes. He was just unconscious, honestly, for a little while in the second half of this game. Didn't do a ton else, but you see the real value in him as a floor raiser offensively. It was like, there were times in the second half, in the third quarter, where it was like, hey, the Hawks don't have much going on offense. Oh, McCollum will just make back-to-back jump shots. Like there's some real value in that. I think he was better defensively in this game than he has been at times this year and was plus 13. A good game for sure for McCollum, and he was the captain of that 68-point bench performance from the Hawks. To the starters, it was a rough game for Koloko, who only played 11 minutes actually, despite starting. 2 points, 3 fouls, 2 rebounds, and a turnover. People are being reminded that Koloko is not some revelation of a player. Like, he's fine. He's a third center in the NBA, but he was not great in this one. They went smaller after that, which is probably the right decision. Even though I understood why they started him, but it was okay not to go back to him a ton in this one. Dyson had kind of a quieter game. 2 points on 4 shots, had 5 assists, had a steal. Defensively was good, I thought, pretty clearly, but offensively just didn't have the ball a lot. It was a lot of Jalen. It was a lot of McCollum. Like, I got why. But yeah, kind of just a weirdly quiet Dyson game. I'm not really sure what to make of it, honestly. He wasn't bad, just didn't do a ton. Ricochet, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists in 23 minutes. I thought he played really well defensively in this one. There was a post, my good friend Kevin Shinar posted this possession where he played post defense that was great. Rebounded the ball really well in this game. 7 shots is fine. Hit a 3, like was aggressive enough. I thought he played a good supporting game. Nothing spectacular by any means, but totally fine. And the Keel was really, really, really cold for a long portion of this game, but got better late. 19 points and 21 shots. He'll have better shooting games for sure. He was only a 3 of 12 from 3 in this game, but had 7 assists, no turnovers, good defense. Like, I thought Nikhil didn't shoot it great, but was fine otherwise. And then Jalen was just awesome, honestly. Like, yes, there is the occasional, or maybe less occasional than you would want, more frequently you would want, defensive mishap from Jalen. That's still going to, if you are like a diehard sicko watching every possession, it does get to you sometimes where it's like, where is he going defensively? But I say that first. He was awesome in this game. Getting downhill. I know my good friend Tyler Jones has mentioned this a lot. When the Hawks play teams that can't match Jalen's physicality, he tends to dominate. And that was the case here. Miami is not a special team talent-wise. You take Wiggins away, who's their best defender on the wing. That helps. But like, no one that they played could stop Jalen. And I think he knew it pretty quickly, which is encouraging. 29 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 turnovers, plus 8. He shot it well from inside the arc. He was 9 of 13, 3 of 7 from 3. Like, he was really, really good in this game. And I think he was in total control. I think my guy Grant Shirley said this, but like, this is a star performance from Jalen. Like, he was just honestly spectacular for the most part, aside from the defensive hiccups every once in a while. But he was really good, really balanced. And not because he had a triple-double. Like, that obviously helps. but I think he was just in total control, which was really encouraging. And by the way, I mentioned this on the last show I did. I expected, and it would have been a total crazy snub if he didn't make it, but Jalen is an all-star officially. That was announced Sunday night. Congrats to him. He earned it. He was a no-brainer pick for me, like clearly deserving of all-star consideration. All NBA is different. We'll get to that later on, but clearly an all-star, seems to be generally excited about it. Going to LA next week, and hat tip to Jalen. He was awesome here, and he's having a great season. So breakout for him. And as a reminder, he's only making $30 million a year for 4 more seasons. It is a great contract. And that was the case before this year's breakout from Jalen. I love that contract when it was signed. Now it looks even crazier. I had an executive level person in the league tell me that it might be the best deal in the entire league. Like non-rookie deal, basically, like an actual extension that's not like mandated by the league. It's up there. It's a great contract. He's a great player, all-star, and a great night for Jalen Johnson on the whole. From here, the Hawks are back home on Thursday to host the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are not particularly good. They did make a buy trade today for Jaren Jackson. We'll see if Jaren might be in uniform on Thursday. I don't really know what's going on there. Also, the Jazz won on the road in Indiana, granted, but still. So it's not like a pushover game. I know they have a bad record, but they have some talent, and we'll see. Also, that game is scheduled to start 4.5 hours after the deadline. So sometimes it could be a wild day on both sides, or it could be a normal game. We'll see. I am planning to have a show tomorrow/Wednesday with some preparation stuff for the deadline. As I said before, there's not really an active rumor around the Hawks. That does not mean the Hawks are not doing anything. The Hawks are, I can guarantee you, I know for a fact, on the phone all day. Like this is not a front office that's afraid to be on the phone. They're going to be looking at stuff. They may not do anything else. They have been active already, but we'll see. But regardless, I will kind of take stock Wednesday night in advance of the deadline, and I will be bringing my microphone to the arena with me on Thursday. And if there is a trade before the game, I might jump in before the game. We'll see. So please stay tuned. The best place possible to follow the pod is to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. You pick it. We'll be there. And hopefully, if you want to support the show maximally, you will subscribe and like on audio and video platforms to maximize our reach. So I appreciate that. Likes, comments also appreciated. Please follow the show on Twitter/X at Locked On Hawks. Follow me there as well as on Blue Sky at BT Rowland. And then also I write about the Hawks pretty regularly and share some extra audio stuff on my Patreon. It's patreon.com/BT Rowland. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday into Wednesday as we're talking about this deep into the night here. And we'll have more coming up this weekend. I can promise you that. Busy times ahead for the Hawks, so please stay tuned. Subscribe to the podcast. We'll see you all next time.